Howdy and welcome to Conscious Mosaic, a channel for arts analysis from an intelligent and progressive standpoint. I don't make any money off this channel, so I cannot work on this channel and on its content as much as I would like to, but my intention is not to abandon it. I will come back either by myself or with friends and post videos here as often as I'm able to. I wasn't even planning on doing a video this week, but I ran across a game. I'm mainly playing Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which I will do a video about at some point, and I decided I was just going to take a little bit of a break this weekend and play something new, and I noticed that this game Flower, which was on my wish list at Steam, was on sale, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to get that and give it a try. I absolutely love this game, and I have a decent bit to say about it. So this game, to me, it is the closest that I have ever come to a video game as meditation. The artwork is very soft, very ambient. The music and the soundscape, there's this sort of natural soundscape, and then the music is very introspective, very contemplative. It sets up this wonderful ambient atmosphere. Even in some of the sort of late middle levels that are kind of some of the darker or slightly sinister levels, there's this very contemplative feel. It's just a very wonderful meditative soundscape. When I first started the game, well, at the beginning there's like a flower pot in a cityscape at a table by a window, but after you move out of that into the first level, like there's just this flower just swaying in the grass, and like I just stopped there and meditated to that image for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. It was just so gentle, so meditative that was, I didn't even begin playing the game by actually playing. I began the game by meditating with it. And then, you start levels with a flower, and this petal raises up from the flower, and then you are the wind, and you move this petal around, and you touch other flowers, and each time you do, you pick up more petals until you have this, huge swirling vortex of petals that's always led by this one. I can't say insignificant because it's all obviously very significant, but this one smaller sort of a petal that's leading all of the rest. The movement is such that you're always moving forward. You're always pushing this petal forward. Now you can turn around and go to places you've been, but you can't go directly. You can't just U-turn. You can't just swivel. You have to move around. You have to keep moving forward and forward and forward until you move yourself back in a circle. And I really loved this movement. I loved the idea that this, small petal is moving things, because this game is very much about small changes that kind of become really huge, expansive changes in their own, by, almost sort of just slowly pressing, slowly suggesting a change in the environment until, near the end you're collapsing these huge, mechanical, like all these girders and this giant tower at the end and stuff. But it's all led by this one little petal that's moving in the wind. It's not, heroic in that way. It's almost anti-heroic, and very natural. And these soft but huge, expansive changes that nature can cause, and this idea of moving forward and coming back by moving around in a large circle. Right? We're in a society that sees itself as very progressive. Now, I tend to call myself progressive politically. But there are some elements of progression in our society that are maybe too rapid, or we move into new technologies and things without really understanding the implications or the potential dangers. So this idea of always moving forward but having to move forward to circle back, I think is a very powerful idea in our time. This idea that we can go back to older ways, to natural ways that are better for our planet, but we kind of do that in this indirect sort of a way, right? By moving back, by moving forward to move back, so that when we revisit what we experienced before, we are revisiting it in a different way, and we're bringing with us the petals we've collected, or the insight into the level, or the different things that we're collecting. So I loved the way that movement works in this game. I also love that our character, as it were, in this game is this, this small petal, or eventually the, a crude mass of petals moving through in lines or waves. in a sense, we are not, most games we are personified as something human or at least anthropomorphic, but in this game we are personified as nature. So there's almost a de-anthropocentric feel, a de-anthropomorphic feel. The world is natural. I don't think that there are any human characters in this world. Now, there are the side effects, there are the buildings and the streets and different things that we accrue sometimes in the screenshots or the artwork that you see between the levels or as the levels begin. But I don't believe there are any actual humans in this game. We are personified as these petals and the wind as forces of nature. We are, literally playing the wind and pushing these petals along. So I really liked that de-emphasis of the anthropocentric world, especially in a game that is moving from nature and then into a world that is too mechanized, that is sinister in a very sort of technological way, and then back to a world that's more in balance. And it's interesting, most games we start at the beginning very simply. We're just learning, we start with a tutorial, we're learning the basics, we move on through, and things progressively get harder and harder and harder as we go. In this game, the hardest levels are I want to say maybe the 4th and 5th levels, but these levels that you reach where you are you're getting shocked if you get too close to the electrified metal as you're trying to collect flowers. Those levels really disrupt and frustrate the feeling of the earlier levels, which is so gentle and expansive and nothing can hurt you. And yeah, I don't believe you can die in those more frustrating levels, but you do get kind of shocked, and it is kind of jarring, and it knocks you out of that natural space. But I think that was done well. They could have made it so you died, but that would kind of change the dynamics and the rules of the levels as you had known them. So they decided instead to make it frustrating, but not to make it frustrating in a way that would change the game or that would be too problematic, And then you move out into the last level, and I found the last level not the simplest level, but one of the simpler levels, and a level that's just a lot of fun. In the, I think, 4th and 5th levels, when things are getting a little darker and more sinister, and there's this electrified metal and stuff, you tend to lose a lot of your petals. Like every time you touch one of those, some of the metal that shocks you, you lose a lot of your petals. Several times I got down to just one petal again, and then it'll be kind of burnt, and then it renews itself, and you can go on using it so you don't die. But there's this sense of scarcity in those levels. Whereas in the earliest levels, there's this sense of natural abundance. And when you move back into the 6th level, which is the level where you can collect absolutely the most petals, there's this sense of abundance once again. So I really liked that it did not culminate in difficult and frustrating levels, but it moved beyond those to, I would not say a completely natural world again. We don't move back to a completely natural landscape as we did in the first level, but we move instead into a synthesis. So we have completely natural worlds at the beginning, and then we have sort of a takeover of the human, even though we don't see humans, of this human world of girders and electrified wires and things like that. And then we move back into this level that's a mixture. Nature does not completely eradicate the built up, the artificial world of the game. In the last level, nature gets rid of a lot of the excess girders, gets rid of a lot of the darkness and the sinister stuff, and we have this new landscape where nature and artificial things like buildings or highways are coexisting. And again, that to me kind of echoes that movement of, we're not just turning around and going back to a natural world. We're circling around and we're finding ways that our artificial world and the natural world can coexist. So I don't believe at all that this game is anti-nature. It's about finding a balance with nature. And then, of course, I love the ending of this game where we move up into the sky past this tower that we have eradicated. Still in a balanced, nature and artificial world, but we've gotten rid of this massive hulking tower that's kind of taken over the landscape, and we move up into the sky, and there is like a window in space and our chair from our little apartment, and it brings together the microcosm and the macrocosm so well. It reminds us that we're moving back to that space because the in-between levels are this table with plants on it in a city. It's kind of moving toward that balance of the two worlds, and we move back into it, and we realize like all this natural stuff we've been doing, all this stuff this huge expansive stuff that began so little, and then it moved to where we're destroying this huge hulking tower, and then it takes us back to our chair, but this time like in space and looking through this window. and it really brings those worlds together. You know, we saw within the levels how the natural and artificial worlds were coming together. Now we see how the world of the levels and the world of the sort of the outside or the framing mechanisms of the game come together, and you know how humans are a part of this world even though we don't actually see any humans. So I really, really love that. So just overall a fantastic game. I love this game so much. Really check it out, give it a try. It's not your normal, you know, action-packed, you know, killing people or, you know, type of a game. So I don't know how well it did. I hope it did very well. I'll have to look stuff up about that later. But for me, this was an amazing game, different from a lot of games. It had a lot of values because I am a naturalist in many ways, and it had a lot of values that I support. So definitely a game worth checking out. Do look into it sometime. And please, if you would, like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel so I can provide more content. As I said, I do intelligent and progressive analysis of the arts, you know, literature, games, music, artwork I have not done yet, but there are a few pieces that I would really like to do or invite people to do. So if you are into that kind of a thing, then please support me through this channel and have a fantastic day.